Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be. We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on! This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Welcome to the Animation Station Podcast, episode 74. My name is Josh.
I'm Hanna.
And today we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi. We're going to be doing a spoiler episode.
So if you haven't actually watched the movie yet, maybe not listen to this episode quite yet.
There's no point in doing that. So Hanna, now what did you think of The Last Jedi?
Are we totally going to ignore our guests?
We have guests?
We have guests.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, I completely forgot. Oh man.
No, we're just invited to the birthday party.
Yeah.
We're here to listen.
Yeah.
So joining us, we have our good friends Liam and Brittany from Cloud City Cast.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Jared Mariyama. I do art.
See, he thinks he's cool when he does that, but I mean, I had already done it.
We don't, but we already know none of us have enough money to get Jared on our show anymore, so it's not.
I've been trying.
No,
I've been waitlisted so long. I'm just like, come on, Jared, please, whenever you want to go
into
on.
2025.
Okay, so yeah, we had our first episode, our non-spoiler episode over with Cloud City. Please don't cough in the mic. Oh my gosh, what are you doing to me? You're killing me, man. So we had that over at Cloud City Cast, and I think it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I was the only one that thought that. So that was so now we're gonna go. Now we're gonna go.
If I'm ranking it in my top,
rank these episodes.
Yeah, if I'm ranking it in my top 5, like Animation Station Cloud City Cast joint episodes, it probably doesn't even crack the top 5, and we've only done 3.
Yeah, I was about to say we've done like 3.
Ouch.
But no, this time we're actually gonna have a nice, meaningful podcast because we are gonna spoil the crap out of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I asked Josh, and he
Finally.
go, are you capable of doing a non-spoiler episode? Because I don't think I can do it.
And again, that's why Liam got to do the non-spoiler one, because he can edit everything. I'm not going to edit anything. Like, I literally tell myself to edit. I don't even listen to myself in the recordings. I just don't edit anything.
It all stays in.
Pretty much. pretty bad.
Which then it's like the raw, unfiltered version of the show. You know, it's good.
I hope on the back of your T-shirt, I really hope it says "Josh cut that."
You
If it
missed
doesn't,
an
you fail.
opportunity.
We'll have a we're in the process of doing some stuff.
Do it.
T-shirt wise, and there will be a don't cut or Josh cut that shirt. I think
I like it.
It should be fantastic.
There needs to be.
There
one.
needs to be a sticker.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Or a tattoo.
And can you
Either.
can you do one? Can you do another one that says "Old Man Gavin"? Or just "Old Man Gav"?
Old Man Gav. No, it'll just like we'll do a
Sounds so
a
wise.
picture of him, but it'll look like Che, but just like Old Man Gavin. And
No,
it'll be in
it
his
should
favorite
be-
color, orange, because he's a weirdo.
It should be Gavin, but with mutton chops, and then he should have pencils for the claws between his fingers. So instead of Wolverine,
that's
it's Old
good.
Man
We
Gavin.
need to get
That's
an
good.
artist on that.
Do it.
Gavin.
Do it.
Yeah, too bad you guys don't have an artist on your show that
I'm
you
not
can
that
get to
kind
I
do
know.
of
that.
I
artist.
wish we had an artist on our show. That's what he gets for not being
Ooh,
here. So
fighting words.
just say.
Burn.
I'm not that kind of artist.
Burn.
All right. So speaking of burns,
So-
let's go ahead and just let's go ahead
Dive right in.
peel off the band-aids. Let's go straight into Last Jedi.
Nitty gritty.
Nitty gritty.
Spoilers?
Spoilers galore.
Yes.
We're gonna spoil this just like when Luke dies at the very end of the movie. So we're spoiling everything. It's all in there. Hey, I had to get
Where
ready
do you want to
start?
Where do you want to start with
Let's
this?
start off.
I guess you gotta start at the beginning, right? A very good place to start. So
Yeah.
I loved right off the bat. We got another joke with Poe.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
I love Poe.
I loved it so much.
That's what I really wanted.
but it was
in this
too
movie.
long.
The joke
It was too long.
They
It was-
did take too long to get that joke
Yes.
going or to end it.
So it was. Yeah, it was basically they took the. Do you talk first or do I talk first? They took that joke and then stretched it out for like 5 minutes. That was my complaint with it. I laughed. Like, don't get me wrong, I laughed the whole time that it happened. But like in retrospect, after it, I was like, there was a lot of jokes in that movie.
There were a
And that
lot
first
of jokes.
joke was way too long.
I
yeah,
felt like there were
it-
too many jokes.
I mean,
It-
there's
it all-
that really good joke of the Finn and Rose storyline.
Nice.
I actually had the thought when she kissed him at the end. I go, "Why you kissing Poe's boyfriend?" And then I had to stop myself.
Well, I did also like. So yeah, I don't know how to go in order. I did like. Well,
No,
this is
no, you
this is
don't.
kind of in order because this happens at the very end of the Force Awakens book, when Rey meets Poe.
Oh,
Because they actually meet in the book, like right before she goes off to
find Luke
find
Skywalker.
Luke.
Okay.
They look at each other, and I believe the line is, "He's pretty cute," and I'm like,
I dig it.
Rey, what are you doing?
Love
That's what I
shade.
automatically fell out of love with Rey. I'm like, That's
You
two-timer.
Why?
She's
Because she
two-timing.
has-
She's two-timing.
Two-timing who?
Two-timing
Why? She
Finn.
doesn't love Finn.
No, she literally was like, "I'm Rey," and he was like, "My name is also one syllable," and Finn's over there like, "Me too."
Except for she doesn't love Finn
And then
either.
Rose
She
is
loves
like,
Kylo.
"No, it's my
I
turn
love
to
how
be in
this
a
is
coma."
immediately what we start talking about is the love shape.
Well, yeah, because honestly, that's what Star Wars is.
The love shape!
Star Wars.
It's a love
Star
story.
Wars is a love story
In
set in
space.
space with some space battles, and that's
really
what Star Wars
cool
is.
laser sword fights.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you think about how the Force Awakens ended, right? And I think everybody was assuming like, oh, we're gonna pick up right where they left off, and she's still holding out the lightsaber to
Oh.
Luke, and she's like, my arm's getting tired. Can you grab this damn thing already? But instead, we got a space battle with the most ineffective bombers
Oh
of
my!
all
Okay,
time.
okay. First off,
Oh.
here we go. You ready for this one? Here's the question of all questions. These are bombers that literally drop bombs in space. I want you guys to think about this. They are bombers in
Where they
space
go?
that are dropping bombs. How can you
With
drop
no
a bomb
gravity.
in space? So that's number one, Josh's problem with the movie. Josh's second problem with the movie, this girl.
He almost held up 3 fingers, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Well,
He was like, "And my second."
my second problem is this girl that's Rose's sister, who
Yes.
I can't remember her name. She's got a book.
Paige.
Yeah, Phil Noto did
Paige.
the cover art for that book that's coming out. That's all about them, and I'm like, that's fantastic because I love Phil Noto. Shameless plug for Phil Noto. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, you opened those bay doors, right? Shouldn't you be like sucked out in space?
Or
Just
suffocating.
thinking, you should be suffocating. And she's just like, no, I'm going to call up the dead guy. I'm going to climb up a thing. And I'm somehow also going to catch the detonator as it's falling into space. I'm like, I don't understand.
You're
First off,
applying
my
real
first
world
thing-
physics to Star Wars, which
I
physics
guess,
never have
I guess because
existed
apparently
ever.
space in Star Wars is totally fine. Anyone can just live out there for multiple periods of time.
Yes.
So all those people
Leia.
that may have gotten
Especially
shot in,
Princess
in
Leia.
Star Wars, I guess they're all just floating around.
Yeah, they're having a party.
Okay,
I
so
also like that they
well, let's-
included Porkins 2.0 in here and then blew him up.
I
That was a
noticed-
nice
I
little
did
nod. I was
see
like,
him.
oh, little
And,
Porkins. Little pork
And let's
rind.
be fair, it's not as though Star Wars hasn't really bent the rules before. Like, i.e., any of the sound effects that any of these ships make
Yeah.
as they fly through outer
Or
space.
fire.
Oh yeah, they also
explosions
Yeah.
that make sounds in outer space in a vacuum. And then above and beyond that, like, even these people all on ships that, like, when the ships get hit, the gravity inhibitors would have gone offline and people would be floating in the ship, which never happens. People literally fall down and they go, gravity still exists.
Yeah, that,
Like,
that
there's
only
no-
happens in the books that gravity ever goes wonky on a ship.
Yeah. But that I think that's kind of thing, because when you think about Star Wars, like, if you poke holes in that, then you have to poke holes all the way back to Return of the Jedi and be
and we
like,
do.
look, these guys are in armor and they're losing to teddy bears with sticks and rocks. There is just no physical way that this happens. But you have a suspension of belief.
Yeah.
So let's say that in the Star Wars universe, they've been able to do something where explosions and lasers and gravity all exist. Even above and beyond that, these are the most worthless bombers of all time.
Oh,
Why would you still
they're terrible.
fly?
They're terrible.
Think about it this way. Say you could still drop the bombs, like they have some sort of special booster which drops them effectively. Fly way higher than the ship and drop it from there. Why do you need to fly like 20 feet above the bridge to drop your bombs? No, fly like a click above it, out of range of its blasters, and just drop these magic bombs so they can fall from a high height. Why don't you do that? Because it doesn't build suspense and establish the character of Paige, who you're going to be like, she's Asian, I'm going to wait for the one other Asian person that I know is going to pop up in this movie. Oh, what do you know? They have matching pendants
Dun, dun, dun.
that just quintessentially look like yin and yang.
Well, it's
My
weird. Like
God.
they look like
They
yin yang, but
do.
there's no possible way that those two match because
They
like,
fit together.
They
Yeah.
they don't
They're
fit.
both
I don't
the
know what
same
it is.
way.
They're too long.
Exactly.
So as with that space battle itself, I was super excited for A-Wings. They're my favorite, like, Star Wars ship. Like, I just think they're so freaking cool.
I love that, and I love that. That's the girl from, I can't remember her name, from Iron Fist.
Oh, it's
Henwick.
Jessica Henwick.
Jessica Henwick. 'Cause, I mean, because she flew it
Yes.
in Force Awakens, and she flies it in this one, and I'm like, I really
Was
like.
that
No, she
her-
flew an X-wing. She flew an X-wing.
yeah, I
in
mean,
Force
but she
Awakens, 'cause there
flew.
was
She was in the squad in
She flew
Force
again.
Awakens, and she flew again. I'm like, sweet. I really hope that her and Poe are going to be like this dynamic duo. No, we're going to kill her
I know.
in the most
Yeah.
unceremonious way possible.
That's
we're
normal
gonna kill
Star
her.
Wars way, though.
I don't know. I mean, Star Wars, they didn't kill freaking Biggs like that. Biggs went out in the blaze of glory. He got killed by Darth freaking Vader, and she got killed sitting in a cockpit in a space dock, and she just got, oops, death. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for killing the
but I
one
think
character that I cared
I think
about.
a lot of that battle ended up being unceremonious. You know what I mean? Where it was like, you know, we saw it in the trailers where Kylo hesitates to fire on the bridge when he feels his mother's presence there, and I thought it was really a bold choice to have the other two ships that were his wingmen were like, well, we're still going to fire on that ship because that's part of our orders. They're not going to have the wherewithal to be like, oh, Kylo's mom might be on there, we probably shouldn't shoot it.
Yeah.
They're just going to do it, and I thought that was really impressive. and then for him to just like peel off afterwards, like just like, okay, well, it's done, and I didn't do it, so I don't quite have that guilt. I did gasp because I was like, "Oh my god, they killed Leia off that quick!"
I
didn't expect that.
Josh
and
was
I
really
definitely
happy
didn't
with that.
expect the Mary Poppins suck back into the into the bridge. But I wasn't mad at it. I just wasn't expecting it.
Well, see, I like that just because I was like, no, but it was totally unexpected because you're like, oh snap, that's how they killed Leia. I thought it was really powerful. I was like, that's exactly how somebody would go. I mean,
like a General Organa.
They hit the bridge. Bridge is gone. I'm like, oh my gosh, they killed Leia, and I was actually like, oh wow, that was it. That was the end of Princess Leia, and then they show her and she moves her fingers, and I'm like, done. I'm out. Here's the thing, if I would have driven, I would have walked out of that movie. And I would have been out. I would have been gone. Because at that point, I was like, no, it's too much. It's too much for Josh. Josh can't handle it.
I didn't like that either. I go, okay, so what are we gonna do now? Because obviously, she's not gonna die this way, so she's not going to die in this movie. She's not going to die.
It was the perfect out for her.
Yeah, it really was. But I did kind of.
I don't know if it was.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know if it was the perfect out, but no, go ahead, Hannah.
Well, I was gonna say I did though appreciate like the conversations that she had with Poe about like the differences between acceptable losses and unacceptable losses in battle. I really liked the dynamic that they established between the two of them. I liked that a whole lot because you don't talk about acceptable, unacceptable losses in any of the Star Wars films.
No.
None.
And it was a perfect
just send
death
out
flag
all
for
our
her.
fighters. Like in A New Hope, that whole Death Star battle is a perfect example of unacceptable loss. And it's never mentioned that we've lost all of these fantastic fighter pilots.
Well, yeah, in the I think I've seen in the thing they show like there's like hundreds of X-wings. Then and then at the end it's still like 5 guys make it out.
Right, and
you're
it's
like, ooh, yeah, you guys lost a lot.
And you don't have a whole lot of expendable resources to replace that fleet. So I really kind of appreciated that part of Star Wars dynamic being entered into this film.
It was very Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with we have this is it. This is the Resistance. We're trying to run away from these guys. It was, and she's basically like, like when Laura Dern comes in there, she's like, we're all that's left. This is it. This is everybody that we have. And I thought that was really good. But I mean, the reason that I thought it was a good way to take out Leia was because, again, she had those interactions with Poe.
Yeah.
She's like talking about acceptable losses. And I thought, you take her out here, I mean, acceptable loss, but you have to move forward. And I don't feel that you moved forward with her being in the med bay.
Because it did end up being, it did end up being where she is like inconsequential to the plot at that point. You know what I mean? Like once that happens, you're like, oh, now she's knocked out in a coma. You're like, okay, well, what was the point of making such a big deal about? Oh, there's gonna be so much more Leia in this film. But then as it progressed and she comes back out, you get the great sequence where she shoots Poe when he's like in the little command chair, which I thought that was really enjoyable. Where he's like, you know, he's all like, oh, you're here, you're going to be on my side. And then she's like, nope, boom. I thought that was great. And you needed to have the reunion between her and Luke.
Right.
So if you execute her that early in the film, then you lose that. And if anything, that was probably one of my favorite parts about the film was when they do have that reunion like on Crete, you know, like on in that final battle. So I could forgive the Mary Poppins sequence from outer space. You know, I could forgive that knowing that there was something better coming along.
Agreed. We needed Luke and Leia to meet in this film because knowing she's gone, we're not going to get that. We know that they're not going to CGI her for this next film. Thank goodness. I don't want them to do that. So we weren't going to get any sort of CGI Leia meeting, you know, with Luke. And now that we know Luke is dead, we're not going to get that meeting anyway. Yeah. Unless for some reason, since Leia is so very strong with the Force, as we've seen in this film, does she get to become a Force ghost at some point? Like, where does it go from here? Like, where does, how does she...
If they
I don't
make
know,
her a
like,
Force
how-
ghost,
No, but I think honestly, I think another reason why I liked it because in the books they always established that she never really pursued her career as a potential Jedi because she was always so overwhelmed with the political arena that she never dabbled in that. If anything, all she learned was like calming techniques to be able to deal with difficult politicians. So I kind of liked this like alternate universe, if you will, where you're like, no, Leia is a badass. Like beyond just the fact that she can kick butt in the original trilogy, like there was the potential that she could force choke somebody out or force push somebody out of the way. Like there was that potential that she was a force to be reckoned with. Force.
Well,
you know.
I never questioned that she couldn't use the Force. No. We all knew that she could. She just never displayed it.
Yeah.
And like you said, from the books, the politics is, that's where she lied, and she didn't need to be Jedi.
Right.
So I appreciate that in this film, in this send-off for Carrie Fisher, that she kind of did get to be, like you said, a badass in a sense. Now, if I was the director and if I could change it, I would not have done that scene. I would not have her getting killed in the beginning of the film and then coming back. I just would have left that out completely.
Or I would have had it that she was so that you could still establish the Force prowess that she had the bomb hit. If the missile had hit the bridge and she had used the Force to seal off the windows,
that would have been,
and everybody was able to.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah. And then you don't kill off Admiral Akbar in a completely arbitrary manner. And she literally, she holds the window in place, is like, everybody get out through this door. And then it looks like
maybe that takes all of her
and then
energy.
it looks like she's gonna go, and then Poe grabs her and pulls her out and closes the door at the last second while the bridge gets destroyed. Something like that I think still would have established her connection to the Force and her power without turning it into a little bit of a joke.
Yeah, it's like the execution of Leia's story in that moment was really bad. I think that was just a poor decision, and they could have done so many other things except that, because they kind of lost me too.
It takes you out, and I'm just like,
and a couple things took me out, like the almost all of the jokes Luke said took me out of the film.
Yeah, I'm like Luke's
they were
not
trying
a
too hard
funny
to make him
character.
Han Solo instead of him being just old man.
I
Luke.
hated that wink. That wink that he gives 3PO, I absolutely
3PO?
hated it. I was like, why are you winking at 3PO? You've never winked at 3PO. Like, you've had 3 movies to wink at 3PO. You don't wink.
All I could think of is Rocket Raccoon in Guardians 2, where he goes, "I'm using my left eye." Like that's all I could think of. That was so good. So when you think about let's kind of transition into Rey and Luke on Ahch-To, on the island, and I'm kind of with you on this, where
you called. What is he going to do when he gets the lightsaber? Is he just going to throw it into the water?
Yeah, and I literally called that. I was like, he's not going to be like, "Oh, thank you," or be like, "Hey, there was a hand with this. Could you give me that too?" Like everybody saw the memes. I was like, he's going to take it and throw it. He's going to be like, "I don't want this."
And I think you were in a sense joking, and then it happened.
Then that's exactly what happened.
But again, that doesn't feel anything like what Luke Skywalker would do. Like the established character of Luke Skywalker that we've had. I understand that there's been a 30-year difference,
30-year gap
between where the movie between the movies. Josh, cut that. But I still don't think that Luke would have been like, "Oh my gosh, my lightsaber."
No,
just got rid of it.
Well, he's been isolated for a really long time, so I feel like that is, I don't know, a lot of the jokes that he did were out of character just from the fact that he's been isolated for quite a long time.
Kind of went crazy like Yoda went crazy.
Yeah,
I was about to say, think about Yoda in the prequels is a vastly different Yoda than Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a goofy, conniving jokester that he never was in the prequels because he's had this time of isolation that, I think you go a little bit crazy. And my complaint, I'm with you on that with I think Hanna was saying that.
You were to call her Han.
Hanna.
I'll take
that
Hanna.
There is almost.
I'll take Hanna.
Hanna.
I'm looking
There's
for a guy
almost-
with the last name Solo so I can complete it. Hanna Solo.
There, I like it. Well, but I think it was almost there was too much Mark Hamill that came through in his portrayal of Luke Skywalker, because Mark Hamill has also become kind of a kooky, crazy guy in his, like, throughout the years. Like, the Joker has infiltrated a whole lot of his personality, and I think that bled through a lot in this movie. I didn't hate it, but at the same time, I did feel like what Josh had said is there was a little bit of a disconnect, and it almost felt like some of these lines would have been Han's lines instead of Luke's lines.
Yeah.
But maybe that was Rian Johnson being like, thanks, JJ, you killed off Han, so I didn't get to use him. So guess what? Luke's going to get all the lines that Han was going to have. Because remember, Mark Hamill said early on that he told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with everything you've done with this character, but I'm looking forward to doing it anyways. Like, that was basically his conversation, is that he was like, I don't agree with the direction you want this character to go in. It's not what I would have done, but I'm not the director, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I do have problems. But again, I was not a fan in Empire when Luke goes to see Yoda for the first time. And so, like, watching this and her just be like, hey, teach me. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, really? This is what we're going to do?
It's kind of just a rehash of Dagobah.
We've kind of done this already.
On a nice...
I did
little
like how we got to
gorgeous.
see where blue milk came from. That was nifty.
No.
We finally the answer to the age-old question: where does this blue milk come from?
As I said in the Cloud City Cast episode, I like ice cream, but I don't need to know how it's made.
But what if it's blue ice cream?
But what if you have frog nuns that clean up your messes for no apparent reason? They're just there,
right? So I mean, I guess since we're on Octo right now in this discussion, that starts probably my favorite thing about this movie are those Force interactions between Rey and Kylo.
Those Force moments are like
absolutely love that, because I mean, and we have a progression of those Force moments throughout the film, and it's a good progression, and it actually was a little bit of story that I was like, wow, Star Wars, you don't really do this. This is crazy. So we actually got this progression of, like, she still doesn't trust him because he killed Han.
Yeah.
And then it slowly starts building.
As she kind of grows more used to how the Force works and what the Force actually is, you kind of see that she can start reading things inside of this connection.
And she's starting to get she's starting to feel Kylo out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, Adam Driver without a shirt on, I'm like, oh, bro, Lord of mercy.
Could you put on a towel or something?
He's like,
put on a tunic?
No, I worked for this.
I was like, I could have done without that, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I loved each and every one of those scenes.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking forward to. I didn't really care about her training, because I'm like, yeah, she's gonna leave, because that's what's gonna happen.
That's
in this
what
film.
happens when people go find masters. They leave.
They
in the middle
leave the
of
master. And like then when we would cut to Rose and Finn and Monte Carlo, I was just like, this is. I mean, cool. We're in space Vegas. But
Viva Las Vegas!
It's that episode of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, it is.
That's all
pretty
much. I was waiting for Faye to show up at some point.
That would have been fantastic. Girl walks in with a yellow on. That would have been cool.
That'd been a nice little. Here you go, people.
Because I'm watching all this. I'm like, can we get back to Finn and Rey, please? Because I'm really enjoying this story. And then when we have, I said Finn and Rey. I didn't mean Finn and Rey. I meant Rey and Kylo.
Finn and Rose.
I love the stuff with Poe, but Poe is probably one of my favorite new characters introduced into these new films. I love Poe.
I kind of felt like they turned him into Luke, though. He kind of got whiny for me.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, let's take Luke and Han and kind of mold them together, and then here's what we got.
Yeah,
and we got Last Jedi Poe. Which Last Jedi Poe was fine.
But not as good as Force Awakens
He's not as good as Force Awakens
He's not as good as Force Awakens Poe.
He's not as good as Force Awakens book Poe.
I still need to read that.
He is so dreamy. But no, Hannah, what you were saying, like, with Poe, like, what was it about his storyline that you think kind of, like, got you so excited about the, like, his arc throughout the film?
I don't don't know. I always like the go-getter. Like, I see a problem. Let's get the problem fixed. It's like Force Order is literally right there. Let's go. Let's blow them up. Let's try to do something instead of just sitting here and sitting on our hands, not doing anything. So, I mean, they're not the most perfect of characters, but I like them in their imperfections, and that I do acknowledge that he is kind of more of a mix of Luke and Han in this film than he was in the film previous, and it might have lessened, I think, his worth a little bit in this film, but I still appreciate that he was still, like, he still had oomph in his righteousness of, like, I know that this is a problem and we have to go fix it. And we have to do something.
I think the only thing for me with Poe in this film, I still enjoyed his character, but when I think back to the whole movie, if he would have just shut up for 5 minutes, a lot of the problems could have been resolved.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he would have just let Holdo do what she was going to do, they probably wouldn't have had some of the problems that they had.
See, and I love Laura Dern in this film. I actually was really excited to see her and what she was going to do, and I got a little upset. It's like, I'm emotionally invested in what she's going to do, and then you kill her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
there was no enough time, not enough time for a connection with her, at least for me.
And I think, Josh, you had said earlier that it was like that there was multiple opportunities for Leia to have her send off, and I think Laura Dern's death could have easily have been Leia's.
Oh, it should have been.
We immediately said that after the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but then yet again, you still needed the reunion with Luke, and so even at that point, if you kill her off, you still don't get that reunion, and you can't move that reunion up because it needed to occur the way that it did to get that beautiful send off at the end, towards the end of the film. But I'm with you. At the same time, I was like, how BA would that be if she piloted the ship back into Snoke's flagship? I think that would have been awesome. But by the same token, it's like, did you even need to have the character of Laura Dern? Couldn't that have easily just been Admiral Akbar? Couldn't that have just as easily been another commanding officer like I don't know what the character's name is, but the older lady that was also part of the command deck?
Yeah.
Like, you literally could have had any other character. If anything, I think it would have been a better send-off for Akbar. Because he would have been like, no, Leia, it's been a pleasure serving under you for so many years. Let me do this. And I personally would have preferred that. And that's no slight against Laura Dern. I thought she was great. But I would have preferred to see her character
go on
more of like a political adversary to Leia, where they weren't so like buddy. Like, it was almost like they disagreed on the way things should have been done. I think that would have been more enticing.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I mean, I liked Laura Dern's character. I knew that, and that's one of the things, watching the amount of content that I watching her and her being like, yeah, we're just gonna run away. I was like, there's no way you're just going to run away. You have nowhere to run. So I had a feeling. I was like, there's a plan somewhere.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the plan was until we actually find out what the plan is. And I'm like, that's a fantastic plan. And I wouldn't have told Poe either. I wouldn't have told anybody that was the plan. Because you have a traitor
but
in your
if she would have, it would have saved some time.
Well, but you have to figure. I mean, Laura Dern has seen.
She doesn't know. Like, they know that there's a traitor on this ship. We don't know who this traitor is. We still don't know who this traitor is. That traitor can still be with them for all we know. We don't know what was giving away the signals. It was never addressed. It's just like, oh yeah, they know what we're doing. How do they know? I mean, we never actually figured that out. I mean, for all I know, it could be that other BB droid that was that BB-8 was talking to in that one quick little segment. There was another Rolly droid that wasn't in
Darth BB.
No, there was another one.
Another
there was
BB.
another one too. It was weird. There was another Rolly ball droid. He was in it for like
I don't remember
scenes.
I must have missed that.
I was like,
I only remember the all black.
Yeah, I remember the black one.
Yeah, this one was he was like forest green. It looked like, so he was like dark, but not like super dark. He's only in like a few shots. Like, he rolls off like at the very beginning, and then he and BB-8 are like beeping at each other.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, weird.
that.
I don't remember that one.
I catch.
I think you may have just.
Like that.
I think you just dreamed it up. I guess. Well, no, because you got to figure like, we had a lot of parallels between A New Hope and The Force Awakens, and even with this film, we still had the parallels. You had instead of the Empire chasing the Millennium Falcon, you had Snoke and the First Order chasing, Leia in the flagship. So you still had like, oh, well, this ship is running from this ship while there's other stuff going on. Oh, well, what are we going to do to escape the ship? Hey, let's send some people off to a planet where we're going to run into somebody that's going to betray us. Like, yeah, a lot of parallels between those films as well, which, I mean, was fine, except for I much preferred Cloud City. Why this, our podcast is named Cloud City. But Canto Bight for me was not going to be able to compare to that. And although I understood the message that DJ tried to get across with the whole, look, these people are rich because they deal to both sides.
Yeah.
So you can't view these people as evil because they literally are just playing the system. And it's like, you guys are just as bad as the First Order because you're all making these people rich by buying from them. So he was kind of trying to show that hypocrisy, which I got, but then there was no reinforcement for that later on. Like, it was literally a throwaway in Act 2. And then we immediately forgot about everything that DJ said because we're like, ooh, Phasma's back. Oh, never mind, Phasma's gone.
Yeah, poor Phasma.
And that was it. And I think that's my thing. Is like, I feel like with Laura Dern, with Holdo, I feel like there was not enough of the character to warrant introducing that character.
Yeah.
With DJ, not enough of a character to warrant introducing it. And then to some degree, like Canto Bight, and then even bringing back Phasma again was just like, why? Why bring her back unless she was going to royally screw up Finn? It didn't make sense for you to bring her back only to, quote-unquote, kill her again. God forbid she comes back for a third movie because at this point it's just... she's basically like a recycling center.
Her armor is fireproof. You didn't know that?
I guess her skin is too.
Well, I was
Why
about to say,
not?
like, here's the thing. If you don't see anybody die in Star Wars, then
No one
apparently
is
they're
actually
totally
dead
fine.
in Star Wars.
So that's
Well,
fine.
Han could still come back. I mean, just because his lungs would have
Is Mace
exploded...
Windu still alive?
Yeah, it's Mace Windu. Oh, we saw him catapulted out of a window after his arm got cut off, but it's totally
That
plausible.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, he could
But-
be fine.
If Leia
He's
can
Snoke.
force herself back from space, why
Yeah.
can't he force himself onto a floating ship?
Yeah, exactly. There's potential there. So, your guys' thoughts on Viva Las Vegas? What did you guys feel about that sequence?
I thought it was totally pointless. I thought it was like, I loved it visually. I loved like a lot of like the character designs in those scenes, but I know it was basically like development for Rose's character, get a little more background for her and where her and her sister
you mean
came
the
from.
3-second soundbite that we got with her saying,
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, the whole thing with Canto Bight is so we can introduce Broom Kid. That's the only reason that we have it. That's the only reason we have this.
the only redeeming part of that.
Yeah.
Is Broom Kid. But really, if they could have figured out another way to introduce him, it would have been better.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason that scene makes sense at the end of the
You
film.
don't need to. You could have just showed this is any random kid
Yeah,
on
that's
any
true.
random planet
That's
that
true. Good
is
point.
force sensitive. Like there was always
Good
the
point.
potential for that. You need to have your cantina scene because you have it in like every movie. So I get that this was like their version of cantina scene. I do feel like DJ was grossly underutilized. I was kind of hoping they were going to do more with that character because ultimately that mission ends up being completely worthless.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like, there's no beneficial outcome from them going on there other than the fact that then you get to have a face-off between Finn and Phasma, which yet again was very underwhelming. So I think for me, Act 2 as a whole was the weakest part of the film. I think Act 1 was really good. There was a lot of good stuff with, like we talked about, with Kylo and Rey. I loved the interactions between Rey and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Luke was a kooky old man, it was still a lot of fun.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, for their
actually.
interactions. Like Hanna said with Poe did a great job in furthering his arc and establishing him as a predominant character. Other than Mary Poppins Leia, I think the rest of like the conversations that she has, the wisdom that she imparts, I think is incredibly important. But I think we lost our way in that middle section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then pretty much after Canto Bight, once you realize what Holdo's plan is, I think from there and then Rey and Kylo on board the ship. I think that to the end is the strongest part.
Yeah,
for me,
I would say too, because that bit with Kylo and Rey on Snoke's flagship is one of my favorite moments.
Yeah,
it's a really good scene.
Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily like the way Snoke looked. I thought
they CG'd the crap out of him.
It's like once you know it's Andy Serkis, you're like, oh, the curtain is gone,
and you can tell
you
Andy
can tell
Serkis'
it's
voice.
Andy Serkis.
Oh yeah, he was Gollum.
Yeah. Gollum and Caesar and all these other characters, and it's like
would you have preferred like a Nemoidian style puppet, like more real in the way that it was presented as opposed to CGI?
I'm always, if you can do practical effects, do practical effects. It might
Agreed.
cost you more money, but you are Disney and you have unlimited budget. You can do practical effects if you can do a practical effect. So if you can do a puppet, I'm all about doing a puppet instead of animating someone to look like an alien or a damaged humanoid figure like Snoke is. So it's like, for me, it was a disjoint when I finally saw him. When he was a hologram, that was fine. That was fine when he was a hologram. But like in person, I'm like, that is someone sitting in a green suit and not this formidable Sith Lord character.
I did like that he was kind of funny too. He was like, I know I am a powerful mofo, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And I thought that was really good.
I did like that.
That I liked, boomeranging the lightsaber.
Like,
I thought that was good.
Kind of throwing
Making
it
people,
against...
fly around all over the place. That was really good stuff. But, yeah, just like his look, I'm sitting there, I'm like, maybe just, if he just would have stayed in his chair the whole entire time, not gotten up and done stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the moment he starts really moving, you're like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like when they did Tarkin in Rogue One. It's like, when Tarkin was in shadow, he looked great.
But
when he got into the light, you're like, oh, maybe go back in that shadow. Dim the lights a bit on that Star Destroyer.
Well, and I think in retrospect, I felt like the throne room in general was underwhelming. Like, just to have like a red paint backdrop, I was like, I don't know. I wanted it to be more reminiscent of like Emperor Palpatine's throne room on the Death Star. Like, I wanted it to be visually more enticing, but I don't know if they just wanted starkness. Like, they just wanted it to be very stark between like what the background was, him in his weird gold member robes, and like just the red guard standing around. I don't know. What do you think
About Snoke?
Yeah.
Who the hell is he? Like, why do we still
I guess
not
it doesn't
know?
matter at this point.
It's like
it doesn't matter at this point, but I think
is it
that
who are they? Because now there's two of them. I don't know.
Ooh, is he really dead? No.
Well, I think this film had a let's introduce new characters and immediately kill them off kind of thing. They had that big problem in this movie with Holdo and Snoke. I mean, yeah, you know Snoke because we've seen him before.
But you don't know Snoke.
But you don't know.
And now we will never know.
Now we'll never know. And
Snoke knows baseball.
Unless there's a book that is made.
There probably will be.
There probably will be a book all about
I will need
Snoke.
to read it.
All about him. But
it's so tough because it was a character that I think we were all really excited to learn more about.
Yeah, like who
and then
he was.
it became like a MacGuffin, like a red herring, where you're like, oh, this character is going to be very important. And then you're like, no, he's bisected. It doesn't matter anymore.
But I will say, what happened in that room completely makes me not care about Snoke because that battle scene was freaking epic.
It was so good.
I want to watch the movie just for that again.
I wish one thing though.
What?
I wish we hadn't have seen, like right before the battle. I wish we hadn't have seen Kylo move the lightsaber. I wish we wouldn't have seen that. I wish we would have had him talk, like Snoke doing his line, and then like he looks at Rey, and you see his finger on the lightsaber, and then you just hear the bzzz. You just hear the sound effect, and then you cut over to Snoke, and you see his hand and everything like that. Because like doing that, you're like, well, obviously we know what's going to happen. He's going to turn the lightsaber on him. And then I'm just thinking, is Snoke going to figure it out? Is he gonna figure this out? Surely
Yeah.
he sensed that, moving around, but
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. But can I say those red guards? I was very
Oh, yeah,
impressed with that
Were
scene.
they Praetorian? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Praetorian.
Yeah, I liked
Well,
a lot of things about that whole scene. That fight.
Yeah, I liked the myriad of weapons that they used.
Oh,
that
yeah.
it wasn't like they all had the same thing. They had like staffs, and they had like a whip. They had one that split in two and was two little like daggers.
I think
it was nice.
my favorite part was the realization from Rey to Kylo, and was like, "Oh, we're gonna do this.
doing this?
We're doing this.
We're doing
now
this."
let's stand back to back and do this epic scene."
Yeah.
Were those the Knights of
No,
Ren?
No, those are just Praetorian
Those
guards.
just-
So
they're
those are.
Praetorian.
bros. So we don't know what happened to the
like
Knights
you know
of
how.
Ren?
At this point, I don't know whether they ever made it past that little flashback sequence. Like, I would imagine that through time, they've all been lost, or Kylo himself killed them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And maybe that's something that gets established in 9. Maybe we get some more backstory on Snoke in 9. But I don't know. It's just there's... I get that it was a great setup, especially for that sweet fight scene. It establishes his explanation, like, oh, well, I was the bridge that brought you two together. Like, the fact that Snoke was kind of playing the two of them, wanting Rey to come there and then basically just berate Kylo in front of everybody. It got to that point where you were like, even if they showed the lightsaber turning or not, there was not going to be a mystery that you knew Kylo was the one that did it. Like,
Yeah.
you could tell that he was very defeated and was kind of like, well, I'm sick of this crap, and such was going to be the
I
way
got
of it.
goosebumps during that scene. Yeah, I was completely chills and all. I was just like, where does it go from here?
No.
And then immediately I came back and was like, oh, he's gonna betray her still.
Yeah.
Like, that totally hurt my heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that
you
was-
knew, because at that point they had established Hux as such a buffoon in this movie.
Yeah.
That you knew he wasn't going to be like I'm going to lead the First Order if Kylo Ren leaves. Like, no, because he's not
I mean,
established
I think
as like a leader.
He still would have.
But it wouldn't have been formidable. You wouldn't have looked at Hux and been like, well, there's a general we got to be afraid of, or an admiral we have to be afraid of. The fear of him is because he has Kylo and Snoke above him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he was like, I'm Supreme Leader Hux, everybody would have been like, yeah, sure you are, buddy. Okay.
Well, yeah,
You go sit over there. We'll handle the war.
I think that was a problem that they did with his direction in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the first one, you're like, oh, snap, this dude is like, he drank the Kool-Aid. He is in this for the long haul. And then you get to this one and you're like...
And immediately at the offset, that scene with Poe.
Yeah, you're like, well,
Yeah.
you've already... Now,
Yeah.
if that would have been like nameless captain, that would have been fine.
Yeah, like the
That would've been,
captain
like,
standing next to Hux.
Yeah, if that would have been like Captain Kennedy or whatever, or Commander Kennedy.
Yeah.
The
Well-
guy, that would have been fine.
Well, they shouldn't have allowed Poe's joke to go on that long. Like, he could have had the joke, and then Hux should have just straight up cut him off.
They also just should have
like
blown
Hail
it out
Hitler
of the, out
Yeah,
of the
like,
speeched
frickin'
him.
sky.
Just shoot at him if he's
Why
gonna
would
be
you
like-
let
No.
Yeah.
that's an enemy person? It's like, shoot it. Like, why would you even allow that? It's like they want to talk to us, so blow it up.
Well,
Let's go.
it felt like it felt like a Family Guy skit. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah, it
didn't
was totally a
feel
Family Guy
like
skit.
a Star Wars movie, and that was a problem with a lot of the jokes. Is it felt like a parody of the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
Like, it was as though somebody else was doing like a Hardware Wars or a Spaceballs version of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So I think that for me ruined Hux. Whereas in the first in Force Awakens, he felt like you said, like he drank the Kool-Aid. He felt. I mean, they were very 1939 Germany
Yeah.
in the way that they portrayed the First Order. So I kind of was hoping for more of that, like in the way that you could see Hux as a viable option as a potential leader. Like you had established this dynamic between Kylo and Hux where they don't like each other and they don't trust each other. And each one is trying to throw the other one under the bus when it came to Snoke. And I would have loved to have seen, once Snoke was dispatched, that Hux does make a grab for power.
Yeah.
Instead of just him getting force choked by Kylo and be like, oh, you're Supreme Leader now. Like, I just felt that was so weak. Whereas the Hux that we felt in the first movie should have been like, go ahead and kill me. It just proves that you're weak. Like, I would have preferred him to like berate Kylo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was hoping that they were going to turn him into more of a Thrawn character. That's what I was really hoping that they were going to do with Hux. And then this movie, they just like, they shat the bed on it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt they did that with the Rey and Kylo storyline. I was all invested in that Rey and Kylo. I was like, okay, here's our redemption. And you see everything, because then when she starts seeing it from Kylo's perspective, like when she confronts Luke and it's like, what happened? You lied to me when you said he just like attacked me out of nowhere one, rainy night. And it's like, no, you pulled a lightsaber on him. Even if you were like, well, you know what, I really shouldn't kill this kid, you still pulled your lightsaber out to kill the kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought that was really good, and I thought they did such a good job telling this story, getting them together, and getting them to a place where they're like, you know what, yeah, let's team up, let's fight these bad guys. And then to just turn it around and be like, oh yeah, no, I really want to conquer the world again. It's like, I felt that they really missed the point there. It's like, you built it up so well. And that's the thing, like, if you could have done that with Hux and not made him, an idiot, if you would have kept him the way he was and made him more, like, basically crazier and crazier and crazier with the First Order, I think you could have had Rey and Kylo go off. And then then you're fighting Hux and the First Order. That's what I was really wanting to see. And then just to be like, no, we have to have a bad guy with a red lightsaber. Yeah. That's what we have to have because it's Star Wars. We have to have a blue lightsaber fight a red lightsaber because it's Star Wars.
But I do feel like this will be a relationship that they'll further and explore a little bit more in the next film.
Yeah, I mean, and that
because
connection
now,
is still established because they do. At the end of the movie, they're like looking at each other like, yep, I see ya.
See, and I love that the chemistry that they have, maybe not like romantically or anything like that, but I still really appreciate the chemistry that they have as two characters. Yeah. I think they play off of each other like really, really well. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate that part of those like what Adam and what oh my gosh. Daisy! I've seen like 5 movies with her in it recently, and I can't remember her name. But like what Adam and Daisy do, like in this film, I really like applaud them because the chemistry that they have playing off of each other is like really great.
Like I said, they were the best parts of the whole entire movie for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to establish that, like you said, this is what we'll look forward to in episode 9, right? Is a continuation of their characters. Even though at the end of the film, when she has her finger on like the gangplank button for the Millennium Falcon, she severs the connection with him. Like she basically is like, well, guess what? Now you're not connected to me anymore. And she closes that gangplank. And I think that's what's going to further his story as well, because he had somebody he connected to, which he hadn't had probably his whole life. Because obviously there was no real connection to his parents or to his uncle or to the Knights of Ren or Snoke, or definitely not Hux. So now this was somebody he felt he had a kindred spirit with, and now she's closed him off as well. I think that is what cuts him into the dark side even more. So I don't know if we get that Darth Vader redeem you at the at the finish line. I think we do get this character is just completely irredeemable. Even Leia says that we've lost him. Like even she views it as like, no, he's gone. He's the lost cause. And I mean, we established that his obsession with trying to kill his uncle when he wants all guns to bear on him in that salt sequence on Crete. So I think that is going to be the main storyline for 9. But I don't know. I think it is more than just we needed somebody with a red lightsaber. I think they said, well, who is the most interesting villain that we're going to have, because you don't want a villain that people aren't going to root for. To get like the ideal villain, you want a villain that has some redeemable qualities. Yeah. If it's just easy to hate them, it's easy to just be like, oh, well, then I'm not invested in that villain. But if it's a villain that you're like, no, I want this person to stick around or to do something, then you're more inclined to pay attention.
Yeah, but that's my problem is I really like Kylo. and I know they're just gonna kill him at the end. And for me, that's just a waste. Like, if they end up just killing him because he is the bad guy, I also kind of going off what you said. Everybody's already like, no, just screw it. He's dead. Like, he's a bad guy. Let's just go ahead and kill him. And going off of, when he fires at Luke, again, the last time that he saw Luke, he has this image of him holding a lightsaber about to kill him. So that's what he sees.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if I don't know about you guys, but if I see a dude standing over me with a knife, the next time I see him, I'm not going to be like, let's hear him out. And that's not going to happen.
No.
So,
right.
I understand, why he would want to do that. I guess we can kind of go into, the last bit of the movie now.
Yeah.
The salt planet.
The battle on Crete. Yeah.
I visually love Crete. Visually, I love it. The bit with the soldier and he sees the red footmarks and he looks at it for a second and he has to touch it and he goes, oh, that's salt. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A planet made of salt. I dig it. No, I like it.
I mean, yeah.
Visually, I like it.
It's a cool planet, and I like what they did with the white and the red. Yeah. It looks really, really cool.
I like that. Visually, I love it.
And now, I think Liam has a problem with what happens in one of these scenes. Liam, we had talked earlier, you have a problem with the scene here?
So my my issue is not with the sand skimmers themselves. I mean, you've got dilapidated ships that you're suddenly going to find enough of them that, hey, we're going to face a first order landing battalion. But as the ships are getting picked off one by one, your last 3 ships, only one of which is piloted by an actual pilot. The other 2 that are piloted by, I don't know, a janitor and a plumber. So you tell me how those 2 are suddenly going to get the skills and the plumber's going to tell the janitor, oh, hey, make sure you hit this toggle switch because I've ever flown anything my entire life. And the janitor's going to be like, oh, thanks, I got this. Let me make a suicide run at this one giant laser, which is going to evaporate this door, but definitely won't evaporate me as I fly right towards it. Definitely some issues in that sequence all into itself. I understood the necessity for it to because you've already established Finn as the guy that will run. Always. I'm going to run in Force Awakens because I want to board this ship and they're going to take me someplace else. But, oh no, Rey's in danger. I'm going to come back. This time, I'm going to board this escape pod, but only because I know you guys are doomed and I'm going to go find Rey. That has always been his mission. And now this was the time that you were going to establish him as caring for the rebellion, for the resistance beyond just himself. He has finally drank the Kool-Aid. He has finally bought in on everything. So I understood the reason for it, but I just didn't feel like that portion of it was super believable, especially for a guy who constantly was like, we need a pilot. Suddenly you're the dude. You were in a coma for how long? And now all of a sudden you know how to fly? They give you lessons while you were asleep there, dude?
Well, it's like I was saying earlier, I don't think they know what to do with Finn.
Yeah,
it's
there is a Finn problem.
His character was basically to get Rey off of Jakku. That was the whole point of Finn.
Yeah.
And now they're like, crap, what do we do with Finn? It's
janitor?
What do we do with the janitor from Starkiller Base that, again, knows all of the ins and outs of
plans.
A dreadnought ship that he's never been on, a weird looking
top secret
ray gun thing that nobody in the Resistance knows about, but yet Janitor knows about it. I'm like, how? What? I don't understand. They're just like, oh yeah, he worked with the rebellion, so the First Order, so he knows everything about the First Order. I'm like, I'm not 100% sure that's how the chain of command goes, but whatever. I guess, it's public access documents in the First Order. They're like, I wonder what's going on today. It's like, oh, really? We're creating that? I wonder what the blueprints are on this.
I'm sure he probably has a buddy that works at like the patent office or something. So he was just like, they're trying to do a patent for what? That's crazy.
Was that the guy from Force Awakens with the cool police baton thing? Was that like his buddy?
Yeah, the one that goes traitor. Because he was all pissed off. He's like, you know all the plans because I'm the one that gave them to you, traitor. Yeah, it makes sense.
So, sorry, but yeah, I mean that's the problem. It's like this would have been a cool thing to, to write Finn out. He would have gone off like a hero. I mean, even if it wouldn't have destroyed the thing, maybe just like pause the shot. Enough time for
someone
them
to
do something.
Yeah.
Maybe Luke to actually show up instead of, we'll talk about here in a sec, so many inconsistencies that, I mean, it's ridiculous. But just something. And then, but here, okay, here's another thing. How is that little, so these salt skimmer things, they go the same speed, yeah? Right?
I would assume
they go the same
that they're
speed.
programmed to be the same speed, yes.
Finn's going this way. He never turned back. Rose did a Yui and is going back towards the base, but is somehow able to, whilst, again, going the same speed,
we're trying to establish their relationship,
turn
Josh.
around, somehow go completely opposite direction to hit him from the side.
We're trying to establish their love connection, Josh.
Well, I'm sure that's the love connection's not there, but
well, no, because you can't have an incredibly awkward kiss unless you have her do that. I mean, let's be honest here.
She could have awkwardly kissed
boyfriend.
She could have kissed Poe for all I care. She could have kissed a freaking crystal critter. I don't care. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Like, that was another thing. Like, after I watched it, I was like, how did she do that? I mean, they're going the same speed.
You're
unless hers
trying
was like
to apply
super
physics
fast.
to probably Star Wars again.
I know, which I shouldn't. It's just one of those things that I'm like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But honestly, if he would have been like, honey, I'm home, you know, as he drives into like the thing in Independence Day,
do a Baldwin?
that would have been fantastic. But nah, they're just like, no, we're gonna take a cool scene and screw it because we want you guys to still think that he and Rey are gonna get together, which that's not happening. Just calling it. That's not happening.
Well, no, and that's the thing. I think I would have preferred, instead of an awkward kiss, I would have preferred like if she had just like put her hand to his face or something. You know, like something that was still something that was still endearing. You know, without it having to be like, oh, now we're trying to force a relationship. Which, I mean, I'm like, if that's the direction they want to go for this next film, and they're going to build it out that it makes sense, cool. Like then that is what it is. But I just didn't feel like it. It did not seem a natural progression to what had been occurring between those two characters up until that point. So that it felt very prequel romance to me, as opposed to like the way the OT romance had sort of blossomed. So, but I mean, even beyond that point, the Resistance is getting decimated to a much more superior First Order army, which essentially has been the running theme throughout this film.
Yeah.
Now we talk about Luke showing up, right?
Yeah.
So we see Luke. Was anybody of our group, was anybody caught off guard that this was a projection?
Yeah, I mean,
when he's like, oh, he's actually not there. Okay.
Then you actually see it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Okay, because how else are you gonna get off the island?
Yeah.
Well, because you got to figure that we saw the silhouette of the X-wing in the water, but we also saw various parts from the X-wing utilized in the huts. Like Luke's door is a side panel from an X-wing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then when you also think about it, Luke looks younger. So he looks the way that he would have looked when Kylo saw him
got
the last time. The gray's gone from the beard. Yep, he steps on the salt flats, and they make a point of showing that his boots make no impression.
Yeah.
So there's no footprints in the salt, and he whips out a lightsaber that we literally just saw Kylo and Rey snap into.
Well, to be fair, there is a little bit of leather on that lightsaber. To be fair, it's got like a little bitty like brown leather strap on it, so it's like.
But you got to figure the lightsaber. But the lightsaber that he had when he stood over Kylo was the green one from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have, no matter what, he wouldn't have had that blue lightsaber, and there would have been no reason for him to construct another blue lightsaber. But it was the projection that he needed to use to throw Kylo off enough that he could create time for them to leave. So I felt like there was definitely fishy business going on there, especially when we saw that it was a younger version. But I loved the tender moment between him and Leia, him kissing her on the forehead, giving her the dice from the Millennium Falcon, like everything like that. I thought that was beautifully crafted. The sequence with him getting hit with the barrage of blaster bolts and then the little flick
I
off the
didn't
shoulder,
like that.
I hated that.
I didn't like that.
No,
that was too Han Solo.
No, it was too Mark Hamill for me. Like to me, I felt that was very, very Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But I loved the sequence up to that point. I loved the sequence of him getting hit with the barrage and then stepping out and being like, "Now
You
what?
didn't touch
What else
me."
do you got?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. And then when Kylo goes to fight him, Luke never parries a shot with a strike with the blade. He ducks everything out, which he would have to because Kylo's blade would have gone right through the.
Here's my question with that. So again, Josh's fun corner of how the Force works. So he's worried about making sure that the lightsaber doesn't hit him because the lightsaber can go through him, correct?
Yes.
But yet
Right.
he's able to kiss Leia, and I guess she feels it. He's also able to take those little dice from the Millennium Falcon
And astral
and
project them to
put them in
Crete.
her hand, and she holds them like they're actually there. So how exactly does that work? That's my problem. So it's like, is he able to pick and choose what he wants to be solid? Because if that's it, then he could have done a sword fight with Kylo. That's the thing.
It might have been the size of the object too, because a lightsaber is a weapon that you'll have to focus on keeping solid at point of impact, whereas a single little pair of dice is something small that you can set in a palm.
I guess.
Well, but you got to figure too, the force projection that he is utilizing, he utilizes for very specific reasons, because it's easier for him to project something that Kylo is going to recognize, because part of that projection is going to be fueled by the way that Kylo views it. And then same thing for Leia. She hasn't seen Luke for how many years? So the last time she would have seen him would have been as the way he was viewed in that projection. So for her, she could still feel that connection to the Force as well. So everybody else that's seeing him is being fed off of Leia and Kylo's vision of what Luke's projection is. So I think it is that connectivity between the Force, the same way that you had the connectivity between Rey and Kylo, to the point that they felt like they were standing in the same room and being able to touch hands.
Well, but see, it's weird because then you have the whole bit with Kylo with the water.
Yeah, because he would have
when he wipes his face and his hand is drenched.
Because
so
she's
it's like,
standing in
so
the
how
rain.
does the water work? Was that water like Force water and not like actually there?
Maybe this is something that we're going to explore in the next film.
Because that's another thing. Like, I didn't understand what happened with the Force in this. Like, I thought I knew what the Force was. Because to me, in the way I read everything, the Force was shaping your will in order to basically bend everything around you. I didn't think that you were able to do these type of
astral
things.
Project yourself across the galaxy.
Because I'm like, well, then how come none of the other people on the Jedi Council did any sort of astral projection? They would rather use the holograms.
Maybe because Luke dies from doing it. Maybe that's why they didn't do that.
Does Luke die from doing it, or does Luke die from like, you know what? Rey's gonna be that Last Jedi. Poof.
I'm pretty sure it's from the expenditure of doing.
I mean, it's honestly, it's probably a both.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Well, and him recognizing through the conversation he has with Puppet Yoda is that there is a point where the teacher, the master, can no longer impart any more wisdom. Like, the student is going to basically surpass the master because there's only so much that you can still teach them. And the point that Yoda gives him is that they're going to learn just as much from your success as they will from your failures. So don't hide your failures from them. Don't try to mask them. Like, they need to know what you failed on so they know what not to replicate and then also what to replicate. So I think that conversation feeds into Luke knowing he needs to let go. The way that Yoda, when Luke came back from Bespin, and Yoda goes, know all that you need, no more do you have to learn, because he recognized that there's nothing more that he can impart upon Luke. The same way that Obi-Wan said, look, I've taken your training as far as I can go, so I'm going to let Vader kill me because there's nothing more that I can do that's going to help you. And if anything, my death will help fuel you along. And I think Luke recognized that same thing. My death is going to fuel Leia, and it's going to fuel Rey, and to some degree, it's going to fuel Kylo. Because it's like, look, I died on my own terms with that little last parting remark where he goes, see you around, kid. Like, just something like that where it's like, yeah, I almost enjoyed that line because it did feel like it could have come from Han. So it's almost a double-edged sword to Kylo where it's like your uncle and your dad could have said that exact same thing to you. And it's like, guess what? You don't think that Luke's going to come back as a Force ghost and terrorize the shit out of you? Absolutely. Josh, edit that out. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely the possibility that he's going to do that. I don't know if we curse on your show, so. I'm
lazy. I'm not going to do it.
Fair enough. No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, we definitely have not seen the last of Luke Skywalker, but I think that this could be a very fun opportunity where Luke could appear to Kylo and kind of be like, what are you going to do now? I'm more powerful than you could even imagine because now I can bug you anytime I want and you can't do anything about it.
That would be, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, like, the fact that I mean, again, my problems were just like, I don't understand how the Force works anymore. Growing up, I was like, this is the Force. This is how the Force works. But like, there's Chris Stuckman, who is a reviewer. He like equated it to like Dragon Ball Z, like with Super Saiyans and everything like that. But I was like, I don't agree with that analogy. So I mean, definitely watch his video on it. I mean, it's really good. But again, I don't agree with that analogy because I mean there is the constant of Saiyan is a constant.
Yeah.
So like the Force is a constant. You can get more powerful, but the Force is still the Force. I mean, but like everybody manipulating the Force in brand new ways. It's like, yeah, but wouldn't these masters have already done this? And we don't see that ever happening. And I'm just thinking of like the stuff that is currently part of the canon. Like, we don't see anything like that happen in Clone Wars. We don't see anything like that happen in Rebels. We don't see anything like that happen in any of the current books, any of, like, anything. And, I mean, that's just where I'm like, just stick with one thing. I mean, that's my problem. It's like, just stick with one thing. You do a really good job when you just stick with this, and then you just go off and, you know, just make new rules for everything. So I'm like, can Kylo make Force Ghosts? I mean, if making Force Ghosts, like, you know, little astral projections is the thing to do, it's like, can you just do that? And is that what we're going to have in 9? Are we going to have Kylo, but there's going to be like 50 Kylos, and it's going to be like the Matrix? And is that what we're going to have? Is that what's going to happen?
I think you're thinking about it too much.
I am.
Well, okay, so there was a book that I read. It was called I, Jedi, right? And it features one of my favorite characters, Corran Horn. And he finds certain things out about his past and like certain Jedi and whatnot that had existed before his time. That each Jedi had an affinity for certain tactics or certain abilities. And like in his lineage, nobody was strong with like telekinesis. Like nobody was able to like move objects and pull them or force push or force pull. But what they did have an affinity was force absorption. So like what Vader does on Bespin when Han shoots at him and he absorbs the blaster bolts, and then he uses that energy, the kinetic energy generated from that, to pull the gun out of Han's hand. That's what Corran's lineage could do. And one of his ancestors was killed by a lightsaber, but before he died was able to suck in the energy from the blade and then convert that kinetic energy into the ability to use telekinesis, and he literally like force crushed the dude that stabbed him. One of my favorite sequences in a book, but it established, at least in what we can now call legacy, because it's not technically canon, but established this idea that Jedis had varying degrees of abilities, and I think that this would just showcase that Luke figured out this ability that took him 30 years to do, which was why nobody else had mastered it, because nobody else had spent that amount of time trying to learn, in proximity to the first Jedi Temple, in proximity to all these old texts that probably nobody had read.
But Luke had cut himself off from the Force. That's my problem with it. It's like, when did he have time to learn this? Because he had cut himself off from the Force for a long time. Because, that's established.
But we don't know when.
I know, but, Rey does say for a long time, and Luke's like, yeah. So, how long had he cut himself off? It's like, was it a year that he had cut himself off from the Force?
Think about it this way. If you hold your breath for 10 seconds and take another breath, you don't really notice it. Try holding your breath for 2 minutes. And then when you finally take that breath of air again, that is the most refreshing breath that you're going to have. Because you get to that point where you're like, I don't even think I'm going to breathe again. So I feel like the Force would be that way. If you cut yourself off, when you do finally open up again, I feel like it would be a flood that would just encapsulate your entire body. So I feel like he would feel an even stronger connection because he had been away for so long. It's like that idea of it's like riding a bike. You never really forget. And I think it's like when you do finally are able to get on that bike again, you're going to ride as fast and as far as possible because you've missed it for so long. So that's the way that I viewed it, as because he had been away from it, now he was going to control as much as possible, knowing this may be the last time he does so. Go out with a bang, right? If this is going to be the be all end all, the send off for you, why not go out on a high note and astrally project yourself across the universe? And then, I thought it was incredibly sweet is when before we see him fade away, the robes collapse and blow off into the wind, you see the twin suns and him staring off into the distance, which was a great parallel to in A New Hope when he looks out at the twin suns before going off with Obi-Wan. I thought that paralleled beautifully, and I think that was my favorite part of the film. I think that was the strongest part, and especially for Luke, I think that was a great send-off. I think it will be a little bit weird having him come back in 9 being a Force ghost. I would assume that they'll do that, and still have him be like, I'm kooky and crazy, even though I just did this big monumentous act to save my sister and my Padawan and basically the Resistance at large.
Yeah, and hopefully they won't make him kooky and crazy. Maybe this one, since we have a different director, maybe they'll be like, okay, maybe you be just serious, Luke. Because, Yoda's not, super crazy anymore, except when, again, I guess, no. I don't know how Force works, because I guess when you're a Force ghost, you can still have Force lightning and stuff. I guess that's still a thing. You can do it.
It's Yoda. Rules don't apply to Yoda.
Dude, if Yoda can Spider-Man his way around a lightsaber battle in Attack of the Clones, trust me, he could summon a little bit of lightning to burn down a tree.
Can I just do a tiny little shout-out that Frank Oz is still doing the voice of Yoda?
Yep.
I love that, but I also
you can't
love
hire anybody
Frank
else.
Oz.
No.
No one else can do that
you can't
voice.
Hire anyone. Nope. Even if I try, I could never even come close to what he does. But there, So with the finale of this, we get to see Rey, move the stones after the what is it, the Vulpix foxes, leave them through those back tunnels and out. And then, everybody board, the last 20 people that are left alive board the Millennium Falcon, because let's be honest, you can't fit that many people.
Is ooh, my goodness.
We're tiny now.
They need to send out a
recruiting call,
a Google Meetup,
a newsletter.
Indeed.com applications.
They might need to start an email list at this point to start trying to get some recruits.
Hey, they tried. It didn't work.
Yeah, nobody answered the call. So when you think about that, we see Rey. Obviously, we know that she's powerful in the Force before that. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the big reveal that her parents are nobodies, and they basically sold her for booze.
That was fantastic. I loved it.
Appreciated that.
I loved. They were like, oh yeah, your parents are. They sold you for a juice box. No one cares about your freaking they didn't love you. I'm like.
No big grandiose reveal.
Everyone was like, she's a Skywalker, she's a Kenobi, she's somehow a reincarnation of Palpatine. It's like, she ain't nothing. She is nothing.
And my fear is that they will ruin that in the next film and try to be like, oh, Kylo just lied to you. You actually are somebody important.
Well,
I like her. I was gonna say I like her being nobody because it falls back to like when we didn't know that Luke was Vader's son, and we just thought he was a nobody from a backwater planet that just had this connection to the Force and could potentially save the galaxy. And I think that was that nice connectivity back to her. So if you did tie her into the Skywalker or Solo family, it devalues her as a budding hero. Like, you want her to just be this person that comes from nowhere that just has that has hope, and that we can invest our hope in her.
Like Broom Kid.
Well,
yeah, like Broom Kid.
I mean, there is a thing though that the continuity is kind of weird on that subject, because Aftermath is an official canon book, and it does say that Luke drops her off on Jakku. So that is technically canon that Luke does drop her off on Jakku. But if her parents were, just like selling her for booze and just like scavengers, did they sell her to Luke and then Luke dropped her off on Jakku, or what happened there? So it's
I don't know. I'd have to read Aftermath and see.
It's weird. It's a part that doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, it's like, which is true. Was Kylo lying? So I just everyone have fun with Kylo maybe lying.
Yeah, well, and like you said before, like, where are the Knights of Ren? Like, how does that still play into all of this, Because we literally saw them for 2 seconds in a flashback, and we haven't seen them hide nor hair of them since then. So, and I was really looking forward to having what we had heard were rumors that Kylo and the Knights of Ren were going to attack Luke and Rey on Ahch-To. So I was kind of hoping there was going to be this cool showdown. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved the showdown in Snoke's throne room, but I would have really enjoyed seeing that showdown happen as well. So
yeah, and then I guess we can go ahead and close it on the most important new character introduced, very possibly Rian Johnson's next trilogy character, Broom Kid.
His magnum opus, Broom Kid.
Because like, what's the point of showing that?
If you're not going to do
anything with it. Because, I mean, you could literally just show him walk out, look at the suns, and flash his, decoder ring. But the fact that you show him use the Force to grab a broom, then go out, hold it like a lightsaber, the kid's got to be something. I mean, if they don't do anything with that, it's the biggest FU in Star Wars history. They're like, oh yeah, remember this kid with the broom kid? Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he's nothing. He's like Rey, he's nothing.
I think honestly they'll probably do a time gap between this film and Episode 3.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be a certain length of time, and I don't think that kid himself is supposed to be like this all-important character, but I think he symbolizes that there is still hope out there, that there is still the potential for other people to join the resistance, other people to go against what is the status quo at this point, and to essentially rebel against whatever it is that oppresses them. And I think you see those kids, those slavers, the stable hands, however you want to look at them. I think that they're supposed to they like personify an idea more than an individual character. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see anything with that particular kid.
Well,
but I do think that the time gap will build more members into the resistance.
Well, I got that, and I mean, that's totally fine. Like, him joining the resistance, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But why would you show him use the Force to get a broom? Like I said, like, if he just literally walked out after they had told the story of Luke Skywalker, if that kid literally just would have walked out, flashed his ring, and looked at the sun and been like, yeah, I'm gonna go join the rebellion, that's one thing. But to literally add that extra, like, 5 seconds in there where he does this, it's like, why would you do that if
I think it is to show anything? Well, I think in the next film, it's going to show that obviously Luke was never really the last Jedi. I don't think the Jedi can ever end. It's not something that will ever end. The Force is something that binds these people, and the Jedi know how to use it. You don't ever lose that in life. So I think it's showing that just because they're no longer being trained, they are still being born.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the symbolism with that kid. Now, I think it would be fun if Rian Johnson does tie that in some way with his next trilogy, and maybe that's Broom Kid in the next trilogy. I don't necessarily see him being in the next film, but I do see him as a symbolism of hope, and that more Jedi will come forward in the next film. Yeah. Or at least I hope they will.
Yeah, I would love to see if Rey does train some more Jedi in the time gap that we get between 8 and 9, and then by the time we get to 9, like Rey has like a little contingent of Force users that she could be like, all right, well now we can be more formidable against the First Order because guess what, we got all this Jedi, so it's almost like a reestablishment of the Jedi Order like we had in the prequels, and then we can kind of feel like these films have come full circle. That we have gone back to the point where there is balance in the Force again.
Hey ASPers, to say thanks for making 2017 such an amazing year, we're giving away an epic prize pack. To enter, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram and tag 2 friends on any of our Thanks giveaway posts. The contest ends December 31st at 11:59 p.m., and the winner will be announced on our January 1st episode. Good luck, and thanks for listening! Alright guys, so it's time for the toughest task imaginable. We're going to rank Star Wars The Last Jedi. And unfortunately, Hanna had to leave. So
bye, Hanna.
Yeah, she had to leave.
Bye.
She didn't even say bye to us.
She had to leave about a week ago. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and say what Hanna thought. Hanna enjoyed parts of the movie. She gave it a 3 out of 5. So that's going to be Hannah's ranking.
I don't think that's accurate. I think she actually gave it a 5 out of 5. I think she actually gave it a 6 out of 5, to be completely honest.
If she could be here I should call her and put her on speaker. If she could be here, she would probably vomit with that ranking, that 6 out of 5. Not her.
Yeah, vomit rainbows about how excited she was to watch that film all day, every day.
Do people actually vomit rainbows?
In your creepy balcony-laden theater.
Yes.
Vomit rainbows over the people
that's
under
what
them?
you did.
Pretty much.
And it was great because we were on the front row, so we literally could like look over and be like, yes.
Popcorn.
Peasants.
Throw popcorn to the common folk down there.
She vomits up the shrimp cocktail and steak and lobster that you guys were served while you were sitting there.
So good. All right, so Brittany. Sorry, Liam. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so to recap, so Hanna said a 3.5?
She just said
3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Flat
we don't
three.
do
All
points. Right. I mean, that's just Gavin and his weird.
Just Gav.
Weird...
And us.
That's true. We do
that also.
We do that.
We do it. All right. So for me, I am going to give it 4 out of 5 clouds. So not quite a 5 because there are things I questioned in this film, things that I would have done a little bit differently if for some reason I had the mind to make a film, but I don't. So I'm still going to give it a 4 because I loved the movie. I think it's a great Star Wars film. There was just some things that could have been done differently. So it's not quite a 5 for me. Still a good film, though. Go watch it. See it again, as Squaredco would say.
True. All right. Is it my turn?
Go ahead. I'll save mine as a surprise for the end.
Ooh, it's a surprise. For me, I also gave it a 4. And I'll be honest, I had a lot of, we'll call them podcast therapy sessions to kind of work through a lot of this. And no joke, I had a 54-minute phone call with Manoa. And it was more for him to work through it than it was for me. And when all was said and done, he was like, oh, we should have just recorded that and you could have put it up as an episode. And I was like, well, if you ever want to. But I had to put it also as a 4 because when you think of original trilogy as like the solid 5s, and then like the prequels would be like a 3, and like the Clone Wars movie would be like a 0, then the Zero the Hutt, then you got to figure that these ones have to sit somewhere in that middle ground. So I would definitely have to go with a 4, where it's not quite original trilogy, but to me stronger than some of the prequels. So
cool.
Nice.
I like it.
I'm gonna give it a solid 3. Again, there were parts of it that I did enjoy. There was a lot of it that I did not enjoy. I'm sure upon a second viewing, it'll be better. But I mean, I'm not gonna go see it probably until it comes out, because that's how much of an impact it left on me. So
No,
yeah,
thank
it's
you.
just the 3. I mean, again, there's problems with it that I don't know. It felt like one of those things where Rian Johnson's like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I want. I don't really care what happens in 9. That's not my thing. So it's like we'll kill Snoke just because it's like we set him up in the first one. It was like, oh, he's gonna be the big bag. I'll just kill him.
I feel like maybe it was Ryan hit brick mansions. No, he brick walls and couldn't looper his way out of it. So he's just, I'm just gonna kill off anybody that I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with them. So he's like, you're dead, and you're dead, and then JJ's sitting there like,
All
no,
of the resistance.
but I had so many ideas.
Yeah, do you think JJ like?
There were
Do you think
plans.
JJ turned in the script like? Because didn't he like send in his draft like the day before the movie came out or something? So I would love for him to like put that on the desk and be like, all right, so here's what's gonna happen to Snoke, and be like, oh no, Snoke's dead. Be like, but I had
Right?
a whole...
Well, I really like that Holdo character that you introduced. So this is my idea for her. Oh no, she's dead too. All right. Well, with Luke, if you could bring him back, he's got to be a Force Ghost now. What the hell, Ryan? Who did you leave alive?
And
Carrie Fisher. Oh, come on.
Exactly. It's like, we killed everybody of consequence, but don't worry, we left you Carrie Fisher. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
And now, to be more realistic, JJ worked on this film with him along the way, so he knew where it was going, and I'm sure he's been brainstorming because he's got a lot to work through for the next one.
I can just see him like throwing out script after script where he's got a
Every
notebook, he's just
day
tearing
Ryan comes
pages out,
in,
just like,
and he's like, gosh, gotta start
and
over.
that one's done, and this one's done.
Maybe he'll
Poor
pull
guy.
a Lost and do a bunch of flashbacks.
I figured he's going to retcon stuff, or my this was something that dawned on me, I think during my conversation with Manoa, is that I would love it if just the movie episode 9 starts out with Finn waking up, and all of episode 8 was a bad dream. So like none of it happened.
Then we could get the awesome. What's the Rey and Kylo ship? Is it just Reylo? I don't know what the
Reylo.
Oh yeah.
It's
That's
Reylo.
perfect. I just want
worked
more
out
of that.
perfectly.
That's all I want.
That, or you could finally ship Pin or Foe, depending on how you want to.
Oh yeah,
You want to ship that one as well.
I
so.
know. I wish Poe and Finn had more on-screen time together.
Yeah.
I would have taken their interaction over him and Rose,
Oh, for
which
sure.
is a bummer because I really wanted to like Rose, but I just meh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad her sister's dead.
Aww.
Dropping
Too soon?
freaking mines in space. Those don't. Sorry, they can't. No, doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay,
All right.
so are you guys planning on seeing Last Jedi again anytime soon?
No, I think for like with all the Star Wars movies, you watch them once and then you never watch them again. So.
you buy them, but you don't
yeah,
open
you buy
up the
them
package.
just to show how cool you are while they sit on your shelf. Yeah, I mean
We want to.
with Last Jedi we only went and saw it twice. Rogue One we saw twice. This one I feel like I'm going to need at least 3 times.
Yeah.
To really
3 is usually our
grasp everything.
cap, I think, on a film if we really like it.
unless something hits me harder than Saving Private Ryan. It's the only movie I've seen 5 times in the theaters. Like in an initial run. Like obviously every time they re-release any Star Wars movie, I go back and watch it again. But when in its initial run, Saving Private Ryan was the only one I saw 5 times.
So for sure, Last Jedi we'll watch again,
Yeah.
probably within the next couple weeks, I would say. And then we'll probably wait when it dies down a little bit and then see it again before it's out of theaters.
What about for you, Josh?
Yeah, like I said, like I can wait until it comes out on video, because I don't need to see it anytime soon. Yeah,
I feel like with this one, the more I've let it sit, I I'm wanting to see it again. Like, I don't know, just all of the great stuff about the film is hitting me harder than the bad stuff. So now I'm just really pumped for the movie. Like, all of the negative, it's like, it happened. I'm over it. I got to hear people like vent on multiple podcasts and read
ourselves included.
Yeah, read so many reviews on it, and just hearing more and more negative things about it. I'm like, wow, I'm starting to like it more and more. I don't know why. It's going the opposite direction.
I just
for
want to
me.
like it more just to spite people that have been like
That could
sending
be.
death threats to Ryan
Yeah,
Johnson.
that's-
They're just like, well, you know what?
Gosh.
Yeah, that part's
That's
been
out
a
of
bit
control.
ridiculous for sure.
Petitions like to get him out of Star Wars and bring
Yeah.
Lucas back.
That's so
I love
ridiculous.
those. I love those because they're totally fine with the Ewok movies existing. They're like, take Last Jedi, get it out of the canon. Those Ewok films, though, that's some Oscar-worthy material right there.
Yeah, that's some fine acting. Can we get more young girls with curly blonde hair to be the lead on a film with teddy bears? Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Care Bears without the powers.
Well, hopefully the Last Jedi can bounce back from their abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score. So
Of what, 94?
Oh, sorry.
No,
92. See, here's the thing. Rotten Tomatoes rant right now. So, like, if you don't think there's any sort of, like, disparity with, like, Rotten Tomatoes scores in Hollywood, you're out of your freaking mind. Because Star Wars The Last Jedi on Rotten Tomatoes has 92% certified fresh. However, it has a 54% audience score. And then when we go to, I just pulled one out. We'll just say Justice League. Justice League, 41% reviewer score. However, it has a 78% audience score. So it's one of those where it's like, I don't understand like the Hollywood or like the, mainstream media type reviewers, because there's definitely agendas there, and I hate it. Because honestly, what I did was with the Justice League ones, I read the reviews the problems that they had with Justice League. They're the exact same problems that they have with the Marvel ones. I went into each person's individual thing because this is what I do at work because I'm super bored. Exact same problems with Justice League that they have in the Marvel films. Rate the Marvel films way higher. Like Thor Ragnarok, same problem that they had in Justice League, rated it like 99%. And I'm like, what the heck, guys? It's the same problem that you have. It's literally word for word. It's like a copy and paste that most of them do, because like the reviews are pretty much the same. And I'm like, you just because you're a Marvel fanboy, you're gonna like say, oh, it's the best movie ever made. It's stupid.
Well, and I think too, there's that whole issue where Disney froze out like the LA Times from being able to see what wasn't it Coco like before. They didn't allow them to sit in to review it beforehand because they had given like that, or they had done that
Thor. They didn't allow them to see Ragnarok.
Yeah, because they had done that piece on like Disney and the taxing of Anaheim and how Disney doesn't pay in its due diligence, even though like they've done more for Anaheim than what Anaheim's done for Anaheim.
Yeah.
But they literally were like, "Oh, you're gonna trash talk us? Guess what? Now you can't see our movies." And LA Times were like, "We're so sorry." So Star Wars is 100% approval rating from us, and it's kind of like they get to beg their way back in. Whereas like, I think Warner Brothers, because they got the rug pulled out from underneath them on so many of their films with the DCEU, that I think they're less inclined to try to play that hardball, because they're almost begging like, hey, we need higher scores. But you could see even the disparity in that, because the animated films always end up with such a high rating, and it's just the live action ones.
Oh
that
yeah,
get tanked
it
by
makes
reviewers,
no sense.
I
mean, especially oh crap! I could probably pull it, but I'm pretty sure that Batman Killing Joke has like a high 80%, and I'm like, that movie was trash. It was abysmal, and it's like, no, it's got like an 80-something%. I'm like, I don't.
But I think sometimes it's the name. Yeah, it's the hype, the name that it holds with it. You know what I mean? Like what do you think of The Killing Joke? It's one of the most iconic Batman stories of all time. So yeah, it's going to have that gravitas, that weight. And I think to some degree, that's the way it's going to be for any adaptation of a well received comic book. Because I think even like V for Vendetta and Watchmen had like a ton of hype behind it in the comic book world because we all loved the graphic novels. So I think there's always going to be that battle. So I think with Star Wars, I think some reviewers are going to be too afraid to be too honest because they're going to worry about the backlash. So
Agreed.
2 cents, boom.
You have a lot of that.
I've got like 100 cents.
100.
Whole dollar. Whole dollar. A whole dollar.
That's it.
People, if somebody was like penny for your thought, I'm like, nah, son.
He's like, sit down.
Yeah. Let me learn you a story.
Oh man.
All right. So where can everybody find you guys?
Probably in our house right now. I mean,
But don't come knocking on the door, please.
we got Christmas right now. We can't.
Baby sleeping.
Yeah, baby sleeping. Don't bug us. Oh, you mean like on
the social media, yeah.
So the podcast itself can be found at Cloud City Cast on Twitter and Instagram. You can also go to Cloud City Podcast on Facebook, or you can email us directly, cloudcitycast@gmail.com.
You can find me at Citizen of Disney.
And you can find me at Liam Bright.
And you can find me at Josh L. Kane on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, on Facebook and Tumblr at Animation Station Podcast, on Twitter at Animate Podcast. You can find all of our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and our website, animationstationpodcast.com. Just click on the podcast tab.
Nice. Look at that. Nice little rundown.
It's
Yeah,
getting
you
longer.
had that
It's getting
down.
longer and longer and longer.
you gotta cut some of the social media.
I'm in that Google Play world where I'm like still waiting for them to actually review everything because it is ridiculously hard to get on there. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, just whenever you guys want to send me that email saying it's done, that'd be great.
Google Play.
Yeah, Google Play. And what was the other one we got an email about that was like, hey, make sure you get your podcast on this? Spotify.
Yeah, I saw
Spotify's
that.
the
The
other one.
Libsyn one, right? They sent that email out.
Yeah, we haven't submitted for
Yeah,
that
same.
one, but I'm
Oh yeah, that was
Sure we will
someone-
eventually.
We put a lot of trailers and stuff like in our episodes. So I'm
same.
like, well, will they take that down since it's copyright? Even though I put a little thing that says this belongs
Oh.
to Disney.
yeah.
So who knows?
You never know
So
these days.
just worried about that.
There's always the
Poland.
potential. But in the meantime, you guys can help out both the podcasts if you go on iTunes and you give us a nice little 5-star rating, leave a little blurb, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see more of, would you like more of these partnership episodes so we can make this happen more often. So every little bit counts.
And we are starting a
Drug
drug cartel.
cartel.
We're starting a new thing. Like, if you want to send us $5,000 a week, what we can do, in drugs only. What we can do is we can make all of our podcasting. No, screw it. Just cut that. That was
Dreams
that
come
was
true.
Dumb. I don't know where I was going with that.
You should have gone with, like, if you guys want to send us with the low monthly fee of $5,000, we can quit our jobs and podcast
Exactly.
full-time.
Yeah.
You could get a show
You can
every
get-
day.
Yeah, daily episodes, 7 days
What
a
we'll
week.
do for $5,000 a week is we will move up to California. We will buy 2 houses right next to each other. We will combine them, put like some sort of tube thing that connects the 2 houses,
Underground.
so then we can have one big recording studio and just all record there.
I like that
sounds
idea.
Magical.
That sounds
And
pretty
then
radical to me.
later on, we'll bring Jared in, and he'll live in the cul-de-sac. We'll just have our own cul-de-sac.
Oh, we'll have a
Yeah.
cul-de-sac of a podcast.
It just says podcast
Oh,
lane.
that would be so cool.
That would be really fun. No one would ever visit us.
No, only podcasters. There you go.
All right. Oh, well, hope everybody enjoyed the Star Wars podcast. If you want to hear our Starship Trooper podcast, let me know in the comments, and we can make that happen, since it is the best sci-fi
Talk
movie.
about Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, he was the great.
That's all I want to talk about.
You ready for mind blown right here? Never seen it.
Liam, there you go. That's episode 1 of
I can't believe you
haven't
haven't seen that.
Yeah, no, the episode 1's going to be Darby O'Gill and the Little People because she still hasn't watched that one either. So.
I don't.
But why
What-
that one's
what
first,
was that?
I don't know.
Old Disney movie,
Yeah.
live action Disney movie with a very, very young Sean Connery.
Young Sean, like
Yes.
younger
That's what's
than
selling
when
it.
he was in The Longest Day.
like James Bond, like young.
Oh yeah, this was
Connery.
like The Longest Day. He's like not even credited. That's how young he is. He's just like random soldier number 4 who has like one speaking line.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Well, then I guess I need to see that.
You haven't seen The Longest Day? It's only like 3 hours long.
Gosh, the longest movie.
All right, guys, that was super fun.
Well, for
Oh
you.
yeah, it was
Thanks.
super fun for me.
We always have fun.
Yeah, no, thanks, Josh, for doing this with us. This was awesome, and it let us, like I said earlier, let us work through quite a bit of the things that we
Let
had
off some
questions
steam.
about. Because it's nice to know that you can love a thing and still complain about it, like our marriage.
That's why it works. At least you said it, not me.
I'm just gonna stay out of this one. You guys work through.